Hi, welcome back. This is Professor Ridge and today's lesson on section 8.4, applications involving quadratic equations. So we're just going to do some word problems. Alright, let's look at exercise number 2 from the book. Okay, so during the first part of the canoe trip, Ken covered 60 kilometers at a certain speed, and then he traveled 24 kilometers at a speed that was 4 kilometers per hour slower. So the total time for the trip was 8 hours. What was the speed of each part? Okay, so let's do our chart. Rate times time equals distance. We got part 1, part 2, and we got total. And so, just from reading, okay, let's go back and reread it. So he covered 60 kilometers at a certain speed. So we don't know what that speed is, so we'll just call it R. And then he traveled 24 kilometers at a speed that was 4 kilometers per hour slower. So it's R minus 4. Now, you know, if we have this formula, R times T equals distance, and I want to solve for T, since I got the rate filled in, which is R for line 1, and the distance is 60, and if I asked you to solve for T, you would say, okay, divide both sides by R, and you get T is distance divided by rate. So part 1 time is 60 divided by rate. Part 2 is 24 divided by R minus 4. And from the problem up here, it said the total trip was 8 hours. So to get the total time, we're going to take the time it took in part 1 plus the time in part 2 equals the total of 8 hours. And so this is the kind of equations we've been studying. So how would we solve that? And we're going to multiply everything by the LCD. So we're going to get, which is R minus 4. So when we take R times R minus 4 with the first fraction, the R's cancel, and you're left with, our LCD is R minus 4. So again, the R will cancel on the first one, and you're left with 60 R minus 4. And then when I distribute it to the second fraction, the R minus 4's cancel, and I get 24R. And then equals 8. There's nothing that's going to cancel, so it's going to be 8 times the LCD R minus 4. Now this is a quadratic equation, so I got to distribute everything. That'd be 240. 8R squared minus 32R. Get it equal to 0. Combine like terms. Let's see, so we got 84R minus 240. Okay, let's get it equal to 0. So subtract 84R. Add 240. So 0 equals 8R squared minus 116 R plus 240. So now we're going to factor it. So 4 comes out. We get 2R squared minus 29R plus 60. Okay, and I need to factor that. So remember the Ridge method factors of 120 that add to 29. 120, so let's see, we got 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30, 5 and see 20, 20 divided by 5 is 24, which that's the one I want. So again, using the ridge method, just as scratch work, I got 2r, 5 and 24. The bigger one, they're both going to be negative. And I got to reduce it so I can pick it out of the second fraction. I mean the second factor. So that 2 cancels that 2. So we get 4, 2r minus 5, r minus 12 equals 0. Set each factor equal to 0. Okay, that one will never happen. So r, we're going to add 5, divide by 2. So r is 5 halves. And then this one, add 12. So r is 12. This, when we plug it back into the original problem for both trips, this one won't make sense because when you do, this is 2.5 minus 4 will give us a negative number for the other part of the trip. So we're going to throw that one out. And so first part of the trip, part 1, so I'm just, speed of part 1 is equal to r, which is 12, and the speed of part 2 is r minus 4, which is 12 minus 4, which is 8. These are kms. km per hour. Okay, so we get, so we get 12 for the first part and 4 for the second part. Alright, let's try another one. Next page. Alright, so let's look at number 12. 2 pipes are connected to the same tank. Working together, they can fill the tank in 4 hours. The larger pipe, working alone, can fill the tank in 6 hours less than the smaller one. How long does it take the smaller one to fill the tank? So if you recall, the formula for work is 1 over the rate of A to do the one job, plus 1 over rate B for the second thing to do the job, and then 1 over T, where T is working together. So remember, A is for the first one, so this is time for larger pipe. B is the time for the smaller pipe. And T is time together. Okay, so we got 1 over A. Well, let's see. The smaller one's B, and A is 6 hours less than B, so this is going to be B minus 6. And then it takes them 4 hours together. So that's our equation. We're going to multiply everything by the LCD, which is 4B, B minus 6. Okay, when I distribute it, so for the first fraction, the B minus 6 cancels, and we're left with 4B. For the second fraction, just the B cancels, so we get 4B minus 6. And then on the right side, just the 4's cancel, and you get B, B minus 6. Combine, let's see, distribute. We're going to combine like terms and see what kind of equation we got here. And it looks like we're going to get a quadratic equation. So we're going to get it equal to 0. Subtract 8b. Add 6. 0 is b squared minus 14b plus 6. Oh, I forgot. I was going to say, that seems kind of small. 4 times 6 is 24. So I got to add 24. Alright, so factors 24 that add to 14 So what would that be? Factors 26 to add to 14. 12 and 2. So b equals, I'm just going to go shortcut, so b minus 2 equals 0. Then you're going to add 2 to both sides, so b equals 2. b minus 12 equals 0, so add 12, so b equals 12. And again, when we go back to check, this one, b equals 2 is not going to make sense, because when you plug it in for time a is 2 minus 6 would be a negative time, so that wouldn't make sense. And let's see, how long will it take the smaller one to fill the tank? So just 12 hours. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to formulas. Number 17, if you look at this, it says solve it for r. And a lot of people get confused with this because, you know, you got to remember that 2 pi, this is just a constant. And this is a r squared, r, that's your variable. So if we view everything else as constant for a moment, you can think of this as a quadratic equation. So get it equal to 0. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi, I'm going to put the h in front of the r, minus a. So I'm going to subtract a from both sides. And I'm going to use the quadratic formula to solve this. So thinking like a is going to be the 2 pi, b is going to be 2 pi h, and c is going to be negative capital A. So r is going to be the opposite of b, which is minus 2 pi r, or 2 pi h, plus or minus square root of b squared, so that's 4 pi squared h squared. So what was it? B squared minus 4ac, 4ac, all over 2a. And then we just got to clean this up a little bit. So it's negative 2 pi h plus or minus. Now if we look, we got 4, this is 8 pi, and here's 4 pi. That's, I can factor out a 4 from both of these. Pi squared h minus, a minus becomes plus 2 pi a all over 4 pi, and then I can factor this 4 out. 4 on the inside makes a 2 on the outside. And then I can factor a 2 from these two terms here and divide it with the 4 on the bottom. So basically we're going to factor out a 2 and cancel it with the bottom. And we're going to get pi h plus or minus square root of pi squared h plus 2 pi a all over 2 pi. And that will be the answer. So we just leave it like that. Did I drop my negative sign? Sure did. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so that's the lesson for 8.4. Go to My Math Lab and complete your exercises there, and I'll see you next time.